Yep.
Okay, so how are you feeling? I can see now that you got a significant amount of changes done. How are you feeling about where your page is at and some of the adjustments that you made?
Yeah, overall feel good. The only thing like I would want to further kind of distinguish on and kind of collaborate is for um the added sections of like the um oh, where are they? Like the added projects.
Okay.
Um for this one, I I don't know if I want to include like the specific trials themselves, because really that's primarily all I do is just work on the trials themselves, conduct the trials themselves, um, and from that standpoint, because it's not really kind of common across our industry where you see all the different trials you work on, you obviously have a CV listing of them from that standpoint that you share privately, with whatever sponsor biotech or CRO you're working with, but nothing like kind of publicly from that standpoint.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily saying, hey, here's all of the trials that I worked on, but maybe pulling out a couple that had a really nice write-up done
Okay.
or a presentation that you specifically gave during that trial. So
Okay.
the trials are going in your case, and they're some of them may be very well known, but what is something that you can say, hey, by the way, this was a component that I worked on
Okay.
that is mine. So, maybe you have a 4 or 5 slide deck that you can say, hey, this was a part of this trial, and these were the outcomes that came out of this trial, but I owned this small project. I was the SME on this small project. Or maybe there's a really beautiful write up that you can just link back, and from a broad scope, you can kind of take credit for it.
Okay.
I like it when there's multiple formats. So like if you look at mine, one's a YouTube
Yeah.
video, one's a deck, the reason I suggest you do it with multiple formats is A, it's just good form, but B, there are people out there that will never click on anything that's not a YouTube video. It's just how it's how they do TikTok, right? It's how they learn, it's how they absorb content. But there's some people that only want to give you credit if you've been published, or there's some people who are out there that own. Does that make sense? So if you
Yeah.
have two or three, it shows that you've got some diversity. It shows that you are comfortable presenting. It shows that you can be given some credit for being published, that type of thing. So don't
Okay.
overthink it. And it's also not just a list of projects. It's, hey, by the way, here's a nice one. Hey, by the way, here's a nice sampling.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely think about that. I know just have to be mindful of presenting like kind of trial specific information because I know that's not allowed
Yes.
to. So, okay.
Worst case scenario, because that is a problem that a lot of people have, like no matter what your industry is, if you can go to a website and grab an article write up that's already been published on somebody's website, there you go.
Okay. Okay.
This component for people who really struggle, not that you're struggling, but just going forward, I'll just give you some
Mhm.
general advice. This is a great reminder that it's always hard to come up with things that you do well
Mhm.
and to keep track of them as you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why this is the, when we talked about it last week, this is the definition of like the living, breathing portfolio. So when you have a really nice presentation, you walk out of the
Mhm.
room and you're like, damn, I'm like, okay, maybe I did good on that one.
Mhm.
That should be that indicator, like, okay, hey, what part of this can I pull out? Maybe even strip back some branding and say, hey, I'm going to put this out on my LinkedIn
LinkedIn.
portfolio.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think that will help a little bit. Definitely think a little bit more on that one.
Here's one. I have a client that I'm coaching, and he does medical devices.
Okay.
He's in LA, and we were talking about that this week. He's prepping for a large presentation with a new
Mm.
device manufacturer, and we were talking about this portfolio piece that he's been slowly building and just doing a
Mhm.
better job at. Um, and one of the things that he has discovered in this process is somebody came to him and said, "Hey, I saw this thing on your LinkedIn page. Could you tell me more?" And his comment to me was, "I never discovered or thought that somebody would look at my page. And when they came to me, I would then have the indicator that, hey, by the way, I've been researching you."
Yeah. Yeah.
And his feedback was, first of all, it's a little bit of an ego boost, right? Like,
Mhm.
I was already looking at you, but he said that then it gave him the lift that he could start the conversation there rather than in an interview process. It wasn't really, you're never sure
Yeah.
where or what interest somebody has on you. He said, Kat, they already had looked at my portfolio. He has 5 or 6 things on his. And he said, I jumped right from there. Conversation went on, and he's 2 steps through the process now. In fact, he has a huge presentation this week. So,
Do you care to share his name? Because I'd be curious to see how he's like intertwining that like delicate balance of too much versus the appropriate amount.
sure, I'll ask him if he doesn't mind.
Yeah.
I'll ask
Yeah.
him. Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
guys are all under non-disclosure with me, so I'll ask him if
Okay.
he doesn't mind if I share. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing a beautiful job, and he's very artistic, so he takes a ton of flourish
Uh,
in his. He loves his. So yeah,
there you go. Okay.
I will absolutely ask him. You guys can network for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. What other questions do you have for me?
Um, so the other one was the posting thing. The posting. So I saw like the video itself, that little 8 minute clip that you have,
Yeah.
like kind of introducing it. But I guess I'm still kind of struggling with what content wise is best to like post there more than anything. That's
Okay.
what I'm struggling to gather with.
Okay, sure. So let's do your SSI score first, and then I'll do your
Okay.
pillars, which is the posting next.
Sure. Okay.
If that's the only other thing, because you'd sent me your note about that, if that's your only other
Yeah.
thing, I don't want to skip your SSI score, and then we'll do your pillars if you're good with that.
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay, cool. You're a fast learner on me, so I don't want to skip what we got going on here.
Trying to be.
Hey, you know what? That's why when you and I first talked, that's why I told you there are certain things that you do that will move just a little bit faster than what my group does, and this is one of them. Okay, so this is your, oh, before I forget to tell you, let's go back here really quick. So I saw that you added some of these metrics in here.
Yeah, and that I guess that was another kind of question. I only like did one or two per job. Are we wanting like multiple for each line that I noted, or
Well,
just one or two? Like,
more recent the job, the more metrics I want you to add.
okay, okay,
Okay.
I
But
can.
here's the other thing. All of these really cool metrics, because by the way, you did a nice job. I want you to move them up
Okay,
in in the list so that they're one of the first couple of things that are catching people's eye. Because I was actually going to call you out on the fact that they weren't on here at all until I got all the way down to the bottom. I was like,
yeah,
oh yeah, he's got a couple on here.
yeah,
So up higher in the list,
okay.
especially on this one that you're in your current role. Okay. Any other questions for me about that?
No,
I'm not so much worried about this one down here, but on this current role that you're in, move those metrics up higher.
sorry, I can't. I'm seeing your calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not helpful.
That's okay.
I picked the wrong screen. Where did you go? How about that? Is that better?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So these metrics here, just
Yeah.
move them up higher.
Yep. Okay.
These down here, I'm not so much worried about.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay.
Right.
Noted.
Okay. You have LinkedIn Premium. So you have something called an SSI score. Can you see this?
Now again, yeah.
Okay. SSI, when you go to linkedin.com/sales/SSI, it will come up and it will tell you where your LinkedIn profile is ranking compared to other people in your industry.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
We need to see what your SSI score is and then track it just a little bit. Now, I don't
Okay.
put all of my eggs in one basket on this score. However, when we start to make huge improvements to people's profile, I like you to be able to see, hey, this is where I started, and then this is where I've
Mhm.
landed. This score is fairly intuitive because you can see things like your brand, if you're connecting with the right people, the insights, which I'll be honest with you, yours are probably going to tank because you don't have any posts.
Yeah.
And if what type of relationships you're building. So as you start to get out and really connect with people in your industry, some of these are going to move very fast. This industry
Mhm.
ranking for you is going to be very telling
Okay.
because you're not looking to change industries. You need to stay in your industry,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So after we're done today, I would ask you to pull this up, get a look at what it says, and then you can even go down and drill down just a little bit further
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
these look like. Okay. And
And
then
where did
go
you
ahead.
say this was?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So linkedin.com/sales/SSI, social selling index.
Okay. I've got it. Okay.
You only get this as a premium subscriber. So this is just one of those tools. And I did check to make sure you are a premium.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I am.
Okay. So we just want to see what this looks like today. Maybe you're welcome to dive into this if you're a heavy report
Yeah.
person, you dive
Yep.
into this all you want. And then how is it progressing? It'll tell you week over week. Obviously, I was on vacation the majority of last week, so mine isn't changing a whole ton because I actually went on vacation and didn't screw around too much on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Um, but it will drastically change as you start to get active.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question.
Considering my engaging with insight is point 0.7, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So what is your SSI right now?
36.
Okay. So that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, but you've made changes to your profile in the last week. So it's showing, hey, by the way, he's all of a sudden present,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like who is this dude and why is he all of a sudden here?
Hmm.
Okay. So, all right. Any other questions for me before I do this content pillars piece for you?
Um, did the updates make sense as far as the header, the I help? Um,
This is really good. I've never seen this banner before. This is really good.
okay.
It looks relevant. Uh, until you find something that you like better, I like it. The
Okay.
only thing I will tell you is it doesn't have that other secondary picture that I usually recommend, but
Okay.
you don't have an unapproachable profile picture, right? There's a lot of people who are incredibly unapproachable. So I think it's fine.
Okay.
Did Canva work okay for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just with the secondary picture, I was torn because really there's not many good like clinical backboards or backgrounds to use. So just from that standpoint, just went with that one. So good to know you think the just the headshot is okay and I look approachable.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last time, especially for people that are seeking remote roles, you have to
Mhm.
appear more approachable
Yeah,
because there's a good chance there are some people that will never know
yeah,
you. I have a
yeah.
very dear running friend of mine. She's a fantastic trial manager, amazing, very well known. Nurse in her field, things like that. I had to, she wouldn't change her profile picture. I'm like, Janine, you look like a raging bitch. What are you doing? And we, very, very respected in the field. But if you looked at her LinkedIn profile picture, she was not approachable at all. She's one of the sweetest women ever. Right. And so we finally got her to change it. But everybody's accustomed to this very uptight, thing. And I'm like, Janine, does
Mm.
anybody think you are the same person? She goes, no, people say that to me all the time. Right. So
Yeah.
getting just a either a better photographer or, in some cases, even just getting your spouse to take your picture gets you a little bit more relaxed. And yours seems to be really, really good. So
Yeah, that was
uh
a picture with a wife, so makes sense. Makes sense there.
okay. See, how did I know? How did I know? Yeah, this all looks really good. If I remember correctly, did you have one that needed to be linked? You had one that had fallen
Yeah,
off
the
or
Kroger one I linked into
oh
the
yeah, there you go.
so from
Okay.
that standpoint. No, I did do the additional skills, went up and updated all that, added a few more soft people skills as well, to primarily a lot of the more recent jobs as well. So
This looks really good. I mean, I will tell you that if I'm nitpicking things like where your numbers are at, you're getting really
yeah,
damn close.
okay.
And you said you did send a request for
Yeah, I
recommendations.
sent out
Okay.
like five. Yeah. So
Okay, good.
there should be
We're
plenty.
really close then. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
fantastic.
Perfect.
Okay, okay, then let's do some of these pillars
Okay.
and so I teach content creation like they're pillars. And I really hate the word pillars, but I'm just gonna tell you I don't have a better one. So it
Okay.
is what okay. So if you had to decide, like if you looked at somebody's social media and you said, man, I love following this person from a professional perspective, what kind of content do you like to absorb from them or would you like to see on your page that makes you go seek them out? Do you know?
It would be kind of knowledge-based posts, something that promotes um, skill advancement, skill development, whether it be hard skill, leadership skills, or any type of soft skill from that standpoint.
Okay. All right. So this is about building your personal brand
Hmm.
and what people will look to you for if they saw your content. This is actually really good. These are great pieces to start building a brand with. And when I say brand, I have a little bit different perspective on it. You know what a kind bar is, like the
Yeah.
nut kind bar. Okay.
Yeah.
So the gentleman who owns Kind Bar is who says the has the best definition of branding. Branding is trust. It's not marketing. It's not the piece of paper that you get when you walk into somebody's business. It's the trust that someone has in you and every decision it that a brand makes either takes away or adds to your trust or your brand. Okay.
Hmm.
So when you start posting,
Hmm.
does the piece of content that you create take away or add to the trust that someone has in you? Now, that seems like a really heavy definition, but
Hmm.
would you put something up that's a piece of content that's not truthful? Well, no, we try not to do stuff like that, right? Not knowingly. So that's a add trust or take away trust.
Yeah.
Do you put something up that's a really funny political disaster? No, we try not to do that, right? Because that takes away, no matter what your political beliefs are, it takes away or it builds trust, maybe with the wrong
Hmm.
people.
Yeah.
So these types of pillars that we put up here are what will build or take away when it comes to getting a job, getting a customer, getting a follower, things like that. So that's why we call them pillars. So
Okay.
as we start to create this, You pick pillars that come up with content. So for you, maybe one is knowledge based content. One is hard skills in your industry. And maybe one is soft leadership skills. I will tell you that in my experience, you can't have more than three.
Okay.
So if one has to go away because you believe your personal brand is lacking and you have to boost your personal brand, you would need to swap it for one of these three. There are some people, CEOs specifically, that have shot their personal brand so badly that we have to take something as specific as knowledge based posts and say, this is all about how much you love your kids, how much you're not an asshole, and how much, you love puppies. And that is a
Mm.
real strategy, right? It's a branding strategy. We're rebuilding the fact that you are not the idiot people think you are, right? Okay.
Mhm.
You could come to the point where people need to understand that you are human and that you are a loving husband and a good dad. But right now, it may be more important that we boost this soft leadership skills piece because honestly, your resume is lacking.
Mhm.
Okay. The knowledge based piece might be easy for you. So this is the layup right now. The hard skills, maybe a little bit of a layup. Maybe the soft leadership skills includes the career ladder and maybe even a little bit to soften the piece about job jumping.
Mhm.
Does this make sense so far?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So once you have confidence in your pillars, then we start to say, okay, what are the posts going to look like? By the way, this means 6 times a week, 246, 246, 246, and there's your posting. The hardest ones being maybe these leadership skills. Now, you don't have to do them in this order, but each week, if you have 2 knowledge-based posts, 2 hard skill posts, and 2 soft skill posts, I don't care what day of the week they're in, all of a sudden you have a full posting calendar.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, if I
Okay.
really let you off the hook, you do 6, 6, and 6, and it's not really 6 days a week. However, you kind of need 6 a week.
Okay.
So if you did knowledge-based skills, what do you think some of these posts would be about?
Uh, Either something related to our regulatory findings, our TMF related findings, our data management,
Mm,
just something along those lines.
okay. These are really good. So this can very easily be article shares.
Yeah. Okay.
This can be case studies. These can even be trial successes.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay. Hard skills in the industry off the bat feel like what?
For that one, I feel like that's where the knowledge based one and the hard skills kind of intertwine a little bit. Um,
Okay.
because I would think a lot of like the hard skills that you like have to have is understanding of GCP regulations, of risk management, of um, project management. Really would be the kind of hard skills, but that kind of really intertwines with what I see as knowledge based. What would
Okay,
you kind of classify as the difference between hard skills and knowledge
so
based?
now knowledge based is the application
Okay.
of the skill. Hard skills themselves is how you seek the skill or where the skill comes from. So you could take project management or risk management, and this could be Lean Six. This
Hmm.
this could be college orientation. This is further up the waterfall than the actual practical application of the skill itself.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
This is applicate. This is the third day I've let that marker not work for me, and I keep putting it back in the bin. All right, practical application. Practical
Yeah,
application.
I've got it noted. And then
Okay.
you noted where the skill comes from hard skill. So,
Correct. Yeah.
okay.
And I mean, hard skills, to be fair, could be anything.
Hmm.
And this may be the harder part of hosting because this is the easy stuff. This should come out of your network.
Hmm.
Where this might be some of the things you learned when you were younger and you almost inherently do them so you don't realize you're doing it anymore. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
The stuff you'd tell your kids they needed before they could do your job,
Yeah. Yep.
right? Um, okay, so this is better. This is
Yep.
easier.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what you think the soft skill post would be about.
So the soft skill would be like your communication, your presentation, your conflict resolution, your collaboration, how you approach those aspects of the day to day, how like line management, mentorship. Those would be the soft skills that we'd look to post about.
I would add in here the emotional intelligence piece.
Okay.
The emotional intelligence piece is where true leadership is going or where it's standing out for candidates, especially in candidates that can work remote. Maybe even so much as the work from home versus return to work
Yeah.
controversy, right? This is good because it allows you to weigh in.
Yeah.
I would maybe even say things like AI or ethics need to be somewhere in here. This is probably a soft skill, AI ethics. Now, once you get into this a little bit more, these become less prevalent, but as you're fighting two things. A, you're fighting the showing up, and B, we're fighting relevant articles that show you are the right candidate if they were
Yeah.
really to go
Or
digging,
okay.
right? Which means this, 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 trial success, project management, risk management, probably mentorship. So right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's two good solid weeks worth of content.
Okay. And for these posts, these um, like you were saying, they could be like article shares, studies, or like trial success. They like, is this something that I would organically have to come up with, or is it something as easy as like seeing something that comes up in like my LinkedIn news feed and reposting and commenting on, or does it have to be something that truly I post about?
So you've got a couple of choices. If you're going to repost it, you have to
Yeah.
add your comments.
Yeah.
Okay, you
But does
can't
that
just
fulfill? does that fulfill like the
Requirement.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, you can, but that can't be all that you do.
yeah, yeah.
Um, if I got to pick what you did, it would be to take 5 or 6 really good sentences, pop it into AI, say, write a short LinkedIn article about this, pick a graphic. I don't care where you get it, Canva, AI, Unsplash, and you would post a fresh article about each topic every time. Now, that's saying that you're good at the AI piece.
You said water. What was the other source? Canva, and what was the other water?
Unsplash. UN,
Unsplash.
yeah, UNSPLASH. Unsplash. It's free graphics and they're beautiful.
Okay.
Um Now that's literally like, 4 or 5, hey, these are my
Mm-hmm.
quick thoughts, and make AI do the work.
Mm-hmm.
90% of the time, if you see something that I've posted on LinkedIn that's like really, really pretty looking, that's exactly what I did. I wrote it. It was pretty damn close. AI cleaned it up. I put it up there. I picked a picture, whether it's my own photography or something else,
Yeah.
and that's what went up.
Okay. Okay.
Not because I'm incapable of writing it, but my thoughts get away from me. I could sit and write pages, but for conciseness and the LinkedIn bullshit, I don't care if you're putting it on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you're putting it. I make AI format it for the social platform I'm putting it on.
Okay.
Here's my verbiage. I'm posting this on LinkedIn. Refine it and make it 2 paragraphs is what I tell it.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
Which sites do you use for that?
so I like Claude, Claude, Claude.ai. I like ChatGPT, or I like Gemini.
Okay. Good to know.
Do you have one that you use frequently?
No, not really.
Are you good at AI? Or do you like it? What do you
I mean, I know what it is from that standpoint, mess
Okay.
around, but from a stationary platform, haven't used either one of those. So
Okay,
definitely
so
test them out.
Claude is free
Yeah.
unless you're gonna use it to write a whole book, it's free. And you just tell it exactly what you want. The example I just gave you, you just tell it exactly what you want.
Yeah.
It's more intuitive than ChatGPT.
Okay.
ChatGPT wants you to parent it.
Okay. Okay.
Like, go get your shoes, go get your socks. Did you get your coat? That's almost the directive that ChatGPT needs. Where Claude, you can tell it, hey, go get your shoes and socks. You're going to need a coat. By the way, we're going to the zoo today. Did you pack your lunch? I'm going to see you in the car in 5. And Claude can do all of it, where
Yeah.
ChatGPT needs you to talk to it like a toddler. Does that resonate? Okay.
Okay. Well.
And I didn't realize that until somebody showed me the prompt answers. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, somebody teach me how to do this, like you're raising kids.
Yeah.
Gemini is going to quickly outpace all of them. Gemini is the
Google
is
one.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Gemini's getting close real fast. So you could play,
Yeah.
if you're new to it, you could play with Gemini or Claude interchangeably.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So don't ever post to LinkedIn until you are very active without a picture. LinkedIn wants you to have a graphic. So unless it's a video or an article or a picture, don't just post words.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Keep in mind that people spend the majority of their time on LinkedIn on their mobile device. They get on, just like you and I are, they're in the
Yeah.
bathroom, they're doing one of these gigs. They spend about 2.5 minutes at a time on LinkedIn. So it has to have some kind of visual catch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's got to have a photo,
Okay.
graphic picture.
Understand.
Okay.
Yep.
And then once you do this, then you start to build that network around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What kind of questions do you have for me? That feels like a lot, but
No, I felt I answered the questions that I did have all throughout, so I think it makes sense.
okay.
And a
I
lot
will
more.
tell you.
It makes much more sense than this little snip. So
Okay. I will tell you that once I see you start to post, I will make recommendations.
okay, perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
um,
I mean, I'm
yeah,
not. I know I've said it. Not social media user. So any type
yeah.
of feedback you do have, great.
So this may seem scary. Does it seem scary?
Uh, I mean, is what it is.
Okay, so here's what I will tell you. People who look at this and say to me, like, Kat, I don't want to do this. This is the difference between having your next job and not having your next job. Because you can go up against somebody who has the exact same skill, if not a little less, who does this really well and is well branded, and you will lose the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
don't
fine.
look at this. Yeah. So don't look at this like, oh, I don't want to do social media. You have to look at this like the next skill you're developing in order to
Reach
outpace
finding.
your
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
And ultimately, that's all I'm looking for.
Right. So try, like try to shift the lens a little bit. And the other thing I will kind of encourage you to shift the lens through is like if you can gather this type of knowledge-based material, or you can gather this type of knowledge-based material, that in and of itself is its own research skill.
Okay. Hmm. Okay.
So you've
Understand.
got this. You've got this. You're building a portfolio. That's all we're doing. No
Yep.
TikTok goofy dances. We didn't say you have to prove that you're a good dad. We're building a portfolio.
Hmm.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Cool. What questions do you have for me? I will take a picture of this and send it to you.
I I've got a snip of it in my
You got
head.
it?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's fine.
What other questions do you have for me? You have your
Uh,
SSI link, you have
yep.
this, you've got
Yep.
the projects to still keep working on and gathering your recommendations. What other
Yep.
questions do you have for me?
Um, is there anything from a resume standpoint, the written resume standpoint, that I need to edit or work on right now?
Yeah. So did you do anything about the spacing on this thing?
No, I wanted to see if you had completed your review so that way I could just do like a one holistic sweep through and like edit everything all at once from that standpoint.
Yeah. So other than what I said to you last week, I have not looked at it any further.
Okay.
It's wordy.
Yeah.
It's
I mean
really wordy.
it's a lot of the same thing that's within the LinkedIn, and
Right.
that's what
Yeah.
um, so from that standpoint, from the written resume standpoint, do I just want to kind of stick with the high level um like kind of metric points only in there?
Are there other changes for you to make to your LinkedIn profile, or are you good based on this? Like, is this part of your LinkedIn profile done being changed?
Um what do you mean? Because
You
I think
added,
that's just like an attachment within my LinkedIn.
yeah, no, let me rephrase because that was a poor question. You added metrics to this
Yes.
verbiage. Are
Yes.
you making any other changes to the verbiage, or are you done making changes?
Um, I'll I'll go up based on your recommendation of like moving those metrics up on the top and then providing a little bit more for the more recent jobs. So right now at Lucent, probably right now at Akivia, and so probably one more at PCM would be what I would do.
Okay. Give me 48 hours and I
Okay.
will have some recommendations on this.
Okay. That's
Um,
fine.
I don't know. What I don't like is it's very visually unappealing.
Okay. From that standpoint, is there a more appealing format that you're aware of or have liked to use in the past?
Yeah, so normally what I do is I suggest to people that they get on and they use a template from um like an Etsy template.
Okay.
Now, here and they're like 99 cents, right? And
Yeah.
what they do is they break this up. But here's what I'm going to tell you. That's a little bit of a double-edged sword because there's some formatting um discrepancies when you do that, and the places where you're going to be applying will scan your resume, and the
As a PDF.
formatting,
Yeah.
yeah, and the formatting there can be a disadvantage because they don't like the fanciness.
Yeah.
So when you're in the medical field, I sometimes hesitate to have you make it too different in formatting because they want to be able to put this in their system, scan it. They want it to be more simplistic. That's why I said
Yes.
to you last week,
Yes.
listen, if you're going to give this to somebody, worst case scenario, just break it up a little bit, right?
Okay.
Um, so more than anything, what I think I want to do for you is just to make sure that we're being impactful with what you have on here.
Okay.
Like that looks like you're reading somebody's paper.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what I don't like. So it's not that I'm evading you. Please understand, I'm not evading
No,
you.
no, it's fine.
I want to make sure that the recommendation that I give you is effective because the recommendation I would normally make is go buy a template. In your industry, if I tell you to buy a template, I will literally cost you a job.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't give bad recommendations. I mean, I might make some goofy ones, but I don't give bad ones.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
that's I appreciate it.
um,
Yeah,
I
that that's fine. From a like your review, your thoughts. I can I can work on that on Sunday and send you what I think my like word edits should be. Would
okay.
that suffice?
Yeah, I mean, I just
Or
don't.
do you
Let
want
me
to
look at
do it,
this.
or do you want to do it independently of that no matter what?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm always open to it being your suggestion.
Okay.
I am more worried about this. I'm just looking to see what format you sent me this thing in. Oh, you sent me a PDF. Can
PDF.
you send can you send this to me in a Word doc by any
Word doc.
chance?
Yeah, yeah, I can.
That way I can fool around with it.
Yeah, that's fine. I can send
Um, I don't know is my answer, which I realize that's not fancy, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to tell you yet.
that. Okay. Okay.
Your LinkedIn page looks beautiful.
Yep.
Okay. So, but this we have to fix.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. What other questions you got for me? By the way, you're
Um,
sitting right on my desk. You, my husband was like, "Who is this?" I was like, "I don't know. He's just a new client I'm working on."
all good. Um, from a next step standpoint, once what is your vision for next steps once posting begin to happen?
Well, I think we're getting, depending on what you need from me next week, I think next week we're starting to look for whatever the ideal job
Yeah.
is for
Okay.
you
Yeah.
and get some of those settings set in your LinkedIn. We'll make sure that your Indeed is set up correctly and
Okay.
we'll begin doing some of that work. But again, you're moving very quickly, which is what I told you would happen when I first met you. And some of this is going to be just a matter of making sure that the job postings are right and that you're getting the alerts correctly. And
Or
then
okay.
yep. And then making sure that you're set for an interview.
Okay.
So next
Okay.
week we'll make sure that you have your alerts set and that your job postings look
Yeah.
good and all of that. By week 4, you could very easily have a few interviews. We'll talk through how I would suggest that you interview for these. I teach or train on how to hold the vacuum because it's a little bit different to interview in an
Hmm.
environment like this. And then depending on what that looks like for you in terms of how people have reached out, if you have interviews, things like that, then you can decide if you need to keep going or,
Mhm.
things like that.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
You should have a couple rounds of boost group under you by then too. So you should have some pretty significant engagement on your LinkedIn profile by that time also.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds
Does
good.
that sound
Yeah.
appropriate?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, good.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. I
All
will
right.
look forward to seeing some things from you in my email and, we'll talk
Yep.
throughout the week.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Kat.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Logan.
it.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
You too.